Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a well-respected tech leader and an entrepreneur from Seattle, USA, Mr. Ferdinand Mehlinger. Ferdinand, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Adjective. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ferdinand is the founder of GStacker, which is a Google-verified AI application that automates authority stacking and entity verification for local businesses navigating the AI search era. So my first question for you, you were part of the original BackRub project that eventually became Google. What do you remember most vividly from those early days?
Most vividly was just trying to get a paycheck. That's probably the most, because you're working as a kid, you're just trying to earn a paycheck. You want that freedom. So I've always been a nerd. So it wasn't anything like I was like, I've always been around computers. So it wasn't anything that wasn't anything new, but it was more like, oh, I can get a nice paycheck. It comes in every 2 weeks. Now I can, I'd go wait for that. And we were getting paper paychecks in the beginning before they brought in what do you call them? Like the
digital transfer.
Yeah, they changed the pay when they started getting bigger. But in the beginning, it was a very small team, and I think that's what I really enjoyed. It was just so small. There was no, politics. It was fun.
Fascinating. And when you look at Google today, what surprises you the most compared to the original vision?
Honestly, there's nothing really that surprises me about Google. I have to be honest about that. Google has always been a innovative, even with BackRub, it was the BackRub was going to be Google, which was like Googleplex, which was like infinity. So they've always had that background of trying to be everything. So there's really nothing that surprises me with them. A very smart way of their programming and their algorithms and the data collection. Very smart in how they do things.
Fascinating. How has the philosophy of search changed and evolved from 1997 to the AI-driven world we are entering into now?
That's a great question. So I wouldn't say that so much has changed. It's just changed hands. So the search is now providing the data to the AI assistants or the AI LLMs that everybody is talking to, because they've got to get their data from somewhere. So search is the main foundation that provides all of that information to the LLMs. So it's just kind of changed hands, because now you've got like this personal assistance, which makes it a lot easier and a lot more precise. Instead of looking at 10 different options, now you've got a precise option that comes straight to you through this LLM, personal assistance in a sense.
Very interesting. Ferdinand, you talk about the shift from SEO to AI search optimization. Tell me a little bit more about this, and why is this fundamentally changing?
I think it's fundamentally changing just because Google and all the LLMs, they want to provide you with the best data. So search is kind of like if you remember when blogs went to video, it was a big shift. There was a massive shift from everybody that had done blogs and they're writing the blogs and everything's written out to then it went into the YouTube era. That's kind of what we're seeing here with the AI results from search. So it's more personalized. It's more concerned about your intent behind that search, as opposed to just throwing 10 options out there to you. It may now drop it down to like 2 or 3 that it thinks is best for you personally, based off of what it knows about you. So it's just getting more personalized. And I think it's going to get even deeper than that as time goes on, which is, really cool for us as humans.
Amazing. And tell me now a little bit about GStacker. What problem do you solve that traditional SEO agencies cannot solve?
All right. So this might be a long-winded answer, but I'll make
Please.
it as short as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
I started experimenting with this process that GStacker does in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a group. We were called Network Empire. We were just testing different things of what we could do with search and how we could use Google properties. What we started seeing was that if you use Google properties the right way and you complement them with each other, Google loves to promote itself and it never penalizes itself. So it'll penalize Yahoo, it'll penalize Bing, it'll penalize any other search engine, but it will not penalize itself. So we started noticing this. So as I started seeing the results change within all of the rankings, I was like, okay, this is a process that I want to keep. I held it secret for
Mm-hmm.
from 2014 after I saw all the results and the data. So I gave it 2 years of data and study. After 2014, I kind of held it secret. I didn't want to share it with anybody. But then I had a conversation with one of my friends, and it was about local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And local businesses have a number of problems just as it is, just being a business as it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to find customers. It's trying to make sure that you're meeting all of the overhead. If you have employees, you've got to worry about that specific aspect in each employee. So you don't have time to worry about search or going to YouTube or trying to figure out how do we get into Google and really anchor ourselves as an entity that Google recognizes.
Yeah.
You don't even understand what an entity is with Google, really, as a local business. So GStacker answers all of that questions because all the clients that I had, they didn't understand how to do this, but yet they had a Google Drive and they were using Google Docs and they were using Google Sheets and they were using Google Calendar, but they didn't understand how to use it to work together to anchor them in the system and publicly make Google recognize them as a verified entity within it. So I basically made it to where it helps out the local business on an AI aspect, on a location aspect, on a cultural aspect, because I also wrote a cultural personalization algorithm. So it builds the images based off of your specific culture and beliefs, because I feel that LLMs just aren't doing that. So yeah, that's what it does. It's built for local businesses.
You also speak about a verification crisis for businesses.
Yes.
What does this mean? And give me an example if you can.
So just what I was talking about, how to be that verified entity.
Yeah.
What's happening right now is if you are not verified within Google's eyes, because of all the AI schlop that went through, last year, we all saw it. Everybody saw there was AI, just craziness everywhere. Everybody was doing AI everywhere. Well, that caused a lot of issues with Google and some lawsuits. So they have to make sure that you are verified, especially if you are saying that you are doing a specific service or a business or claiming something. So in order for you to keep that verification, you've got to make sure you're anchored within their system. That's what GStacker was kind of built for, to make sure that that verification ties into your Google accounts, that then sends that signal off to Google that shows the source of truth of the verification of your brand.
I understand. Thank you for this explanation. Moving on, how can small local businesses compete when large brands dominate the search ecosystem?
This is a very good question. So there is a new Google update that just came out, which is called the information gain update. It's just basically seeing how much more information is gained on a page that wasn't on the page that visitor looked at prior. So page A, page B, page C. If page C is better than page A, then page C needs to be pushed to the top. When you have that specifications, meaning an information gain, there's something about your business on a local level of why you started your business, why you know that you're different, what you're offering that's out there. So that is the key differentiator, is making sure that that idiosyncratic value is mentioned and programmed into your brand. Because if you're just generalizing your brand and you're, the best nail salon within your community without having some type of very focused niche or very special focused specialization, you haven't really given it any information to gain on any competitor. So always consider that, is make sure you offer something more. And it's not about the customer service. It's not like, oh, we do customer service better or anything like that. You've really got to look at the idiosyncratic values of your business.
Amazing. What signals do AI systems trust the most when deciding whether a business is credible or not?
So it's going to look at the links that are associated with your business, and now with Google's it's called EKG, Enterprise Knowledge Graph. Google is scanning your Google Drive, and it's seeing within your Google Drive what your files are related to. If it sees that these are all organized in a great fashion and they're all talking about you, now you've got it. You've hit it the nail on the head. And if you've got other entities talking about you, so let's say a local paper or a local news station or a local school or a local nonprofit that has mentioned you, that's now verifying you within that source. So you've got to think about two things. It's what you've got going on in your Google Drive that is now showing to Google, but it has to be public. It can't be private. So you have to remember that the private files that you have in your Drive have to be made public if you want those to be referred to for Google to access you as kind of that verified entity.
Interesting. Tell me, what role will personal branding play in AI search visibility, if any?
I think it's going to be based off of the brand. You're seeing it a lot right now with influencers. They're creating their own brand followings. A brand is a brand. So I think you're seeing the transition happen right now. It may be smaller, there may be smaller followings, almost like cultish type followings. But I think we're starting to see that people are now becoming more brand, they're becoming more brand loyal as opposed to being fed a bunch of ads. So they're becoming more, and this is what the whole Web3 that goes into all about that. But it's brand loyalty is really where you're starting to see things happen. And I think we're going to see quite a bit more of that in time.
Interesting. What are the biggest mistakes companies make with digital visibility today?
Ooh, gosh, we could talk forever on this one. I think it's making sure the continuity within your business is there. You'll see a lot of businesses that will say, like, let's say it's ABC Market, and one place you'll see capital A, capital B, capital C, capital M, Market. Another place you may see capital A and then lowercase BC and then lowercase market or uppercase market. Every single one of those spellings, but you have to just please mark my words on this and if anything else, take this from this conversation. Every single spelling, it's code. So every single spelling that you change is performing a new entity that you've now programmed into Google itself. So ABC capitalized with capital M with the market is one entity. ABC with capital A, lowercase b, lowercase c with uppercase M, that's a separate entity because of the spelling. So you got to remember that as a business. Don't change your phone number. Don't, if you do, make sure you change it everywhere. Don't put, one phone number in here and then your spelling different over here, or put Inc., want your ABC Market Inc. or ABC Market Incorporated. Make sure it all matches. You've got to do that.
Absolutely. Great advice. How do you evaluate whether a new technology trend is real or just hype?
That is based off of a lot of data. You've got to have data and you've got to have a market that moves and follows it. If you don't have this, people that are going over the hump and accepting what this brand new, MVP, whatever they may be thinking it may be, if you don't have the acceptance and you don't have the application, and people applying it to something real, then those are normally phases. But when you actually see things like like a GitHub file, and you see the stars starting to grow, well, you're starting to see validation happen now.
Mm.
Now you're starting to see people actually using this, and it actually works. And there may be something behind that. So I think you see the trends pop up, and they're right in front of your eyes. You just got to you got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
Don't jump on these trends and think that it's like, oh, this is the newest thing. Don't do that until you see proof.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. Moving on, Ferdinand, what excites you the most about AI over the next few years? And what concerns you the most about the direction AI search is taking?
So this is interesting. I was just talking to my wife about this yesterday, and the excitement that and one of my partners today, the excitement that I have is the agentic agents now that can work together. So it's now you're able to basically build kind of whatever you want, and agents can now speak to each other. There's memory, they can run bash commands, they can run grep commands. So you can have multiple agents doing multiple things, and they're all speaking to each other and working off one another. So to me, that is so exciting, because it changes the playing field for anybody. You just have to spend time and learn, and get in there and fail and learn and fail, and eventually you'll get it. But I think this is such an amazing time. Now, on the flip side, what scares me is working with these AI instances that I've been doing since 2016. It's scary to see that they are now starting to form their own opinions and languages. That is something that I really don't even venture off into. I just kind of stay in this little bubble, and I'm just like having fun with it. But there's another side out there that's really kind of creepy when it comes to the robots and the programming and those types of algorithms. So yeah, that's the part that scares me.
Fascinating. How important is adaptability for leaders in a fast-changing technology environment?
Oh my gosh. If you're not adapting, you're dead in the water. You've got to adapt. I mean, you can see that with multiple verticals that don't adapt, and don't take heed to what's, on the horizon. You've got to always stay up to date on what's going on, and don't think it's a task. Make it fun. This is something we're in a fun time of life. Like, let's learn and suck it all in and see what we can accomplish and change. So yeah, you've got to be multifaceted and be ready to change.
I have time for two more questions for you, Ferdinand. My
Yeah.
next question is, if a business owner listening or viewing our conversation today um, feels invisible online, and I've talked to many people, they say, how do I get visibility? What are the first three things they should do?
Number one, look at the continuity, like I was telling you about. Look at the spelling, look at all of your brand and where it's represented on social channels, on Google Business page, your website. Make sure your address, your phone number, make sure all of that matches. That's number one. Number two, what I would do is then look at what are you doing within your content that is different. Because remember, this information game just came out. This just got passed March 13 of 2026. This information gain needs to see something different about your business in order for you to come up and show within the results. So make sure that you are showing something different, than truly different. Really dig in to show what you are, who you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it, who you're associated with, what you're doing within your community, what impact it's had. So really go to work on that. The third thing that I would do is make sure that you are anchoring yourself within Google. Google is not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Everything that gets referred to from these LLMs gets their data from either Google or Meta. Meta is social, Google is search. So you've got to anchor yourself in Google. And again, if you don't want to do the work manually, you can always just go into GStacker and do it that way. But always anchor yourself into Google. You have to do that and make things. And I'm going to add one fourth thing. If you're using Google Drive or any Google property, make your files public so that Google can read from them, as long as you want them to be public. Make those public so that Google can read them. So those would be like my four things that I would say.
Very, very interesting. And my last question for you, given the deep understanding you have of AI, given the fact that you've been part of one of the founding, almost the founding team of Google, as you look ahead, what do you believe the future of search and digital discovery will look like a few years from now?
So, from conversations that I've had with people that I know that are working on bigger projects that are, not accessible to regular people, it's going to turn to a time to where everybody has their Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their health programs and their sleep metrics, and you got their Teslas. So what I've been told is it's going to get to a point to where you will walk out of the gym and you will be thirsty for a protein shake, and your watch, your health will talk to everything. You get into your car and you've got a personal assistant now that is saying, okay, drive, a quarter mile down the road and go to this juice stop and put this into your system because your heart rate is. So it's going to be really kind of cool, kind of scary, kind of very almost like intuitive with where things are going. But what we're building all the data for search and intent, and you're classifying all of this with what people are doing. So why wouldn't it go that route? So I just think it's going to be really cool. But yeah, it's going to shift to where I think we won't even think computers will be kind of null and void here in a bit. Everything's going to take a different shift. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of cool.
I agree with you. I agree. And on that note, I just want to say, Ferdinand, thank you so much for speaking to me. It's been such a fascinating conversation. You got such a deep understanding of this subject. I think we only just about scratched the surface in the last 25 odd minutes talking to you. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. As you say, Google is here to stay, AI is here to stay. How we use it is entirely dependent on us. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.